Give me the drum roll. It's official. Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger have set up a confederation. They have formalized the whole thing. And this is after they left ECOWAS. Remember last year, in fact, the coup in these countries began in 2021, then 2022, and 2023. So 2023 was the last one in Niger, and that was when ECOWAS, under the leadership of Nigeria, threatened military intervention in Niger. So because of that, I believe these three countries found that it's in their interest to work together and stay united. That way, they can protect their interests and from inside, that is within the continent, and even outsiders. So this confederation is cutting across military, which I think is the present issue for these three countries. Because if you know anything about the state of the countries, as well as several other countries within the Sahel region, you know that they are having serious issues with terrorism. So, in fact, one of the accusations they levied against ECOWAS is that for decades that they have been suffering, not just ECOWAS, but also the French and the US military that were in their countries. They said for several decades they've been battling these issues of terrorism, and ECOWAS and the groupings, the military something they set up hasn't been able to fix the problem. French military wasn't able to fix the problem. The Americans weren't able to fix the problem. So now they said, someone said foolishness or insanity is doing the same thing over again and expecting a different result. So now they have decided that let them try a new path and see if this works out for them. So other than, of course, they welcome the Russians, but other than that, they also integrating their military together because sometimes these terrorists can do things in Mali and from Mali jump into Burkina Faso. Do you understand? Now, because they didn't have this kind of grouping before, they weren't able to fight across their different borders. But now with this confederation, at least it promises that they are going to be able to integrate their military more closely so that they can deal with these terrorist activities. Then also, the confederation also encompasses economic things. I'm suspecting that they are going to introduce a new currency that so that they will be able to their citizens will be able to use. Now, why I find this good news for these countries, particularly these currency things, because for many since independent so-called independence, not independent, but anyway, since so-called independence, these countries have been using a currency printed for them by France. So that even shows that if you cannot print your own currency, you are not sovereign. So now they're trying to break out of the shackles of colonialism and set up their own currencies that they can use within each other. So I think it's an impressive occurrence, and want to see how far that goes. But anyway, this happened on Saturday. By Sunday, we had the ECOWAS meeting. Now during this meeting, because if I get ECOWAS, you can tell I'm excited. Oh, I'm so excited because ECOWAS has been humbled. That's why I'm excited because ECOWAS has been humbled. I was really disappointed in ECOWAS last year, 2023, when they threatened military intervention in Niger. This is after sanctioning Mali, sanctioning Burkina Faso, sanctioning Niger. Even medicine, food wasn't getting into Niger. So now the ECOWAS has been humbled. I like a very humbled ECOWAS. Well, okay, other than that, now by Sunday, ECOWAS had their meeting. And when they had their meeting, in fact, no, on Saturday, these countries, the countries of this new confederation, that is Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, they said it plainly that they and their citizens have completely turned their backs against ECOWAS. So now by Sunday, ECOWAS says, no, 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 we are not going to let you go. You have to stay. You have to stay with us. In fact, the president of Senegal, President Faye, has been given the responsibility, which I think is too much of a task anyway, but he's been given the responsibility to bring back these countries into the fold. I think it's too much of a task because these countries have said it. And from the statements they made, they are not going back to ECOWAS. So you're just giving President Faye a headache. The time he should spend on building and developing Senegal, you're using it to give him headache to almost pursue a fool's errand because it's not going to result in any positive outcome. So since this confederation was announced on Saturday, there's been a lot of political analysts give their opinion. Quite a number of them have said, "Oh, the confederation is going to fail." Others say, "Let's see how it goes." I'm of that opinion. Let's see how it goes because ECOWAS has failed with both terrorism and economy. ECOWAS failed with both terrorism and economy. So let them try to see how things can go. And let's give them 10 years. 10 years. Let's see if at the end of the day they made the right decision. Because the people who have been saying that um it's going to fail, that if you leave ECOWAS, it means that you're cutting yourself away from some of the development projects that ECOWAS is supposed to do in these countries, which is true. But let's not forget that these are not the first countries to leave ECOWAS. I believe some years ago, several years ago, Mauritania left, and Mauritania is doing fine. So it's not because you left. In fact, Mauritania is doing better economically than several of these other countries in ECOWAS. So being in ECOWAS doesn't necessarily mean that your economy is going to get better or your security is going to get better. Because Mauritania doesn't even have these issues with terrorism as much as these other countries within ECOWAS, including Nigeria. So I'm of the opinion, let us see how it goes. President Faye, please don't give yourself headache. Please and please and please. There's a lot of challenges in Senegal. I think you should spend more time fixing and focusing on those challenges in Senegal than giving yourself headache to try to bring in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger back into ECOWAS. But because it's not going to happen. In fact, I was hearing someone said that, and this is an outsider, by the way. The person is in France. So the person was like, the only way to bring them back into ECOWAS is to remove the regimes. That means they should overthrow this behavior of regime change. This behavior of regime change in the world is terrible. So anyway, the person said they have to do regime change to get them out. That way, when they bring in new leaders who are favorable to ECOWAS and um, some other external players, it can then they can then bring them back into ECOWAS. But then I think that person made him is ignoring something. It's not just the leaders, that is, of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger that have turned their backs against ECOWAS and the people who are pulling the strings of ECOWAS. It's not just them. Even the population, the citizens of those respective countries are done with ECOWAS. When Nigeria threatened military intervention, ECOWAS, under the leadership of Nigeria, threatened military intervention into Niger. Did you see the people who went into the streets protesting Nigeria's president and ECOWAS? There were a lot of people. So don't think that if you do a regime change to remove these three leaders, all the problems are gone, you can bring them back into ECOWAS and let things business continue as usual. No, the people will rise up. Don't forget when this military coup happened in these countries, the people supported them. Niger is the one that is even freshest in our minds. You see the thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who went into the streets to jubilate. So removing these leaders doesn't necessarily mean you have sorted out the ECOWAS problem. No, no, because the people are against ECOWAS. The people are against those who are pulling the strings of ECOWAS. So instead of you to begin to think of how to do regime change in this country to bring things to continue business as usual and do things the way you've been doing before, because if you do that, you're going to get the situation is going to get worse because the people will revolt. The best thing you can do is to allow them take your hands off the three countries and focus on other parts of Africa or parts of West Africa. Because as long as Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali are concerned, the leaders and the people have turned their backs. So I wish them good luck. I really hope that what they are experimenting now, because at the end of the day, the most important thing for a leader is peace to bring security and stability in their country. So if you cannot give security and stability, that is the most basic thing. That is the most basic thing a leader should be able to do. So now they are trying this path so that they can bring security and stability in their respective countries, rather than we thinking of how to do regime change, which is going to make the security situation worse. Rather than thinking of how to do regime change, let us find out how how can we help them. If you don't know how to help them, leave them alone. Leave them alone. So I wish these countries the very best, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Let's see, 10 years down the road, 5 years down the road, let's see if this decision you have made is the best decision. I'm thinking it's going to be, but I'm not a prophet. But I'm not a prophet, so I can't conclusively say. But I'm thinking it's going to be a good decision for them to not just get their sovereignty, but to be able to work together, integrate their military to completely deal with this issue of terrorism and other economic issues. Even this ECOWAS that is saying that without us you cannot fix terrorism issues in your country. Have the other countries in ECOWAS fixed the terrorism issues in their country, in their respective countries, like Benin, like Nigeria, like there are several of them. So if ECOWAS has not fixed the terrorism issues in these countries, these ones who are carving out a new path for themselves, allow them, allow them. So I wish you the very best, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Let's see how things turn out, but I'm hoping it's going to be for the good. Let me know what you think about all what we just discussed about these three countries and their confederation. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section.